The silence of the void was supposed to be absolute, but Captain Alara Vance could hear her own heartbeat thumping against the thin titanium hull of the Aurelius. They were 4.2 light-years from Earth, drifting through the Oort cloud of a star that didn't have a name, only a string of digits that sounded more like a barcode than a home. The mission: Project Echo. The goal wasn't to find gold or habitable soil. It was to find the hum. For decades, Earth's radio telescopes had picked up a rhythmic, low-frequency pulse originating from this specific coordinate. It wasn't a signal. It was a heartbeat. Ship: Aurelius, a long-range scout powered by a prototype saltwater nuclear engine. Crew: 3 specialists, pilot, biologist, engineer, and 1 synthetic liaison, named Eris. Target: a rogue planetoid designated Echo 01. As the Aurelius entered the planetoid's orbit, the ship's sensors began to scream. But they weren't alerting the crew to a collision or a solar flare. Every screen on the bridge flickered to life, displaying a synchronized visual of the planet's surface. It wasn't rock. It wasn't ice. "Captain," Eris whispered, his synthetic eyes glowing a soft amber. "The planetoid isn't reflecting our radar. It's absorbing it. And it's changing shape." Below them, the surface of Echo 01 shifted like liquid mercury. Massive, crystalline structures several miles high rose from the ground, reaching toward the ship like frozen fingers. Ilara didn't wait for Houston. By the time a signal reached Earth, she'd be dead of old age. She donned her EVA suit and stepped into the airlock. "If we spend our lives waiting for permission to be brave, we'll die in the dark." Captain Alara Vance. Log entry 402. When she touched the surface, there was no impact. Her glove sank inches into the silver dust. Instantly, her helmet's HUD was flooded with data, not numbers, but memories. She saw the birth of stars, the cooling of nebulae, and the slow, agonizing heat death of a galaxy she didn't recognize. Echo 01 wasn't a planet. It was a library, a biological hard drive left behind by a civilization that had transcended physical form eons ago. Every pulse was a data backup. As Alara stood there, the silver dust began to climb her suit. She felt a profound sense of peace, but Eris's voice crackled over the comms, panicked. "Captain, your vitals are syncing with the planet. If you stay there for more than 10 minutes, your neural patterns will be uploaded. There won't be enough of you left to fly the ship home." Alara looked back at the Aurelius, a tiny speck of white against the infinite black. She held the history of 1,000 dead worlds in her mind. If she left, the data would be lost. If she stayed, Earth would never know. She reached for her belt and pulled out a physical beacon. She jammed the beacon into the silver soil, slaving its transmitter to her own brainwaves. She began to speak, not into the radio, but into the ground. She narrated the history of Earth, the wars, the art, the smell of rain, the taste of salt. She wasn't just a scout anymore. She was an editor, adding a new chapter to the library. The Aurelius limped back into the inner solar system 3 years later. Alara Vance survived, but she never spoke again. Her eyes remained the color of liquid mercury. In her hand,